The First Nations Information Governance Centre, in collaboration with its regional partners, is undertaking a redesigned First Nations community survey that will be carried out in 330 First Nations on-reserve and northern communities starting in 2015. This survey is being administered as part of the nationally mandated First Nations Regional Health Survey and the Regional Early Childhood Education and Employment Survey. Taken together, the results from these surveys will examine the relationship between community-level factors and individual well-being and provide a more holistic picture of the various issues affecting First Nations communities. The goal is to gain a better understanding of how certain factors or indicators affect First Nations health and well-being. For example, the information collected in the 2015 Community Survey will help First Nations communities understand how real-world factors like a safe, clean water system, a community or youth center, or a First Nations-run school can have a positive impact on the well-being of their people. The Community Survey is organized into 12 major themes, each with its own set of questions, which together are intended to represent the range of issues First Nations communities face. The survey contains questions about the external environment, which includes environmental issues such as the proximity of mines and chemical plants, water treatment standards, and emergency coordination. It also covers basic physical structures and facilities needed in the community, like roads, plumbing, power, and internet, as part of the shelter and infrastructure theme. Housing issues such as waiting lists for homes, maintenance, heating, and energy efficiency are also included. The food and nutrition section explores the availability and accessibility of fresh, nutritious foods. The economic opportunities that exist inside and outside First Nations communities are part of a section devoted to employment and economic development. Issues relating to childcare, education, and skills development for young children aged 6 months to 2 years are examined as part of early childhood development. The education section of the survey looks at enrollment in high school and post-secondary education, in addition to First Nations-run schools and preschool programs. Questions relating to community policing, fire and ambulance services, and emergency response are incorporated into the justice and safety portion. The availability of health professionals and health services in First Nations communities is the subject of the Health Services theme. Social services like income support, safe homes, and youth programs are also surveyed. Issues related to First Nations language, cultural programs, repatriation, and membership are covered in First Nations identity. And finally, questions relating to self-government and groups with designated authority, such as economic development corporations or council representation, are the subject of the First Nations governance theme. Together, these questions will help to provide a complete picture of the various issues affecting First Nations communities. How is the survey administered? The First Nations Community Survey is scheduled to deploy in spring 2015. FNIGC's regional survey partners will appoint a dedicated community survey coordinator to reach out to your community through your band or community administrator in order to determine which individuals are most knowledgeable in each of the 12 sections of the survey. For example, your community's housing director might be the perfect fit to complete the housing component, or a school principal might be picked to complete the education component. Once these individuals have been identified, your regional coordinator will send them an email containing links to their section or sections of the survey, which they can complete at their own pace. Depending on its length, each section will take 15 to 30 minutes to complete. The 2015 edition of the Community Survey will be conducted completely online instead of on paper like previous versions of the survey. This is for a few reasons. First, it's more efficient. The new survey has been redesigned so that participants will now only answer questions that are relevant to their specific circumstances. Second, it's much more convenient. The new online version allows participants to complete the survey on a computer, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere, and at their own pace. FNIGC takes the protection of information very seriously. That's why all data collection, interpretation, and analysis is done by First Nations for First Nations. The First Nations principles of OCAP serve as the foundation for the work FNIGC undertakes to support First Nations peoples, communities, and nations. They support planning, program development, evaluation, and good information governance. OCAP has 4 principal components. Ownership refers to the relationship First Nations have with their cultural knowledge, data, and information. It states that they own information collectively in the same way that an individual owns his or her personal information. Control affirms that First Nations, their communities, and representative bodies are within their rights to have control over all aspects of research and information management processes. Access ensures that First Nations have access to information and data about their communities, regardless of where it is being held. This also refers to the right of First Nations communities and organizations to manage and make decisions about access to their collective information. And possession ensures that the actual physical control of data is determined by First Nations. Think of it as the mechanism by which ownership can be asserted and protected. Together, these principles embody FNIGC's commitment to the protection of information gathered from First Nations peoples and communities. Each community that takes part in the community survey will get access to their final results. That means that the people in those communities will be given their own unique community profile, which can be used to inform policies and programs that can bring about real positive change. As we know, knowledge is the key to progress, and quality information is vital to the goal of improving First Nations communities. Good, culturally relevant data helps communities evaluate their own progress and develop a better understanding of the relationship between community infrastructure and individual well-being. By being a part of the community survey, you have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of First Nations.